Hello. Thank you for joining us. This is 15 Minutes of Fame. My name is Robert Voisey. I'm the director of 15 Minutes of Fame. And 15 Minutes of Fame is 15 one-minute works that are written specifically for a musician or an ensemble that are chosen by them, and then we perform it for you here online and via other chamber concerts and things like that. Today, our musician is a very, very special, talented man, Stas Venglevski. He's playing a great instrument called the Bayan accordion, and he's just a wonderful, wonderful player on many different levels. I definitely encourage you to check him out. But we'll talk a little bit more about him later. Anybody who joins us, if you have any questions or comments or whatever, feel free to put it into the chat. We would love to, answer them or comment. Meanwhile, we should probably start the show. Let us bring on our first composer, Matt Williamson. Hi, Matt. How are you?
Hi, Robert. Great to be here.
Great to have you. This isn't your first time on 15 Minutes of Fame.
No, I did a short piece, as they all are, for Ava Worth, an oboist, quite recently, which was great, and she did wonderfully. So it was fabulous.
Welcome again. It's lovely to have you.
Thank you.
So why don't you start by telling us your name, a little bit about yourself, and this piece that Stas is going to play in a minute.
Great. So I'm Matthew from London. I didn't know too much about the Bayan before I started this project, and it's been really interesting finding out about how it works and all the amazing things it does, and also all the great repertoire that's written for it. But it struck me as I was sort of listening to all of that there's certainly a certain vibe, or a lot of the music written for it is in a certain vibe, a sort of quite folky dances, and it has something of a Parisian street music kind of vibe to it. So I wanted to write something that was completely different to all of that, and that's brought out brought out its non-trivial, its serious side, something a bit more powerful and majestic. And that's really where the idea behind this piece, and there seemed to be a nice link between sort of something that was powerful and awe-inspiring, and cathedrals, and indeed the instrument that Stas plays on it's the Piritore Cathedral Bayan. So there was this nice cathedral theme running through it all that was a bit serendipitous. So that became the idea behind the piece, that this was really a musical portrayal of a cathedral, if you like. So I hope you enjoy it. I'm looking forward to hearing Stas play it.
Elephants flying down the sky. Swami tight, nada botami.
Fabulous. Well, let me personally say thank you, Stas, for performing my work. I actually don't always write for 15 Minutes of Fame and get picked even less. But Stas is just an awesome performer, and I was very, very motivated this time around. I was introduced to Stas by David Bohn. Where is he? Hey.
Hello.
Hey, David. How are you?
Could be better, could be worse.
I think that's could be said of all of us, right? But yeah, we've been trying to get Stas on 15 Minutes of Fame for a long time. That was mostly your doing, I think.
Maybe.
And well, I've actually know Yehuda from a bunch of projects already, but Yehuda and Stas have a huge relationship for many years as well.
Yes. And actually, we are celebrating our 30th anniversary of working together. And we counted 14 pieces that I have written for him, or he transcribed some of this or adapted them. And this September, he is going to be premiering a piece on my series, which is which I call it as a symphony for solo solo accordion, which pretty much includes his CV, curriculum vitae, which is going to be talking about himself and doing some other pieces, including singing and including hopefully also if we can make him dance, he's going to be dancing, and it's going to be including a hora, which which I found out that it's common both between Moldavians, but also Moldavian Jews, So I wrote an original hora from him. And then he's going to be singing a text accompanying himself from written by a very famous Russian poet, And what can I say? And then, of course, he's going to be playing a little piece of him, written by him, plus Scarlatti, And this is all in a context which would include what you call guitar performance, cello performance, in which we're going to be doing the first performance of a piece of the season of the great composer Ligeti, whose 100th anniversary, what you call that, happens to be what you call that this year. And I had a relationship with Ligeti, which I don't want to go into it. But the point is that we are doing these things. And David was our guest in the year before, which basically was doing pretty much the same things that he was doing for you, playing a lot of pieces, right, that were included in your repertoire, you know. And David and I go back. He was my student many, many years ago, and some of my students are now on Medicare. So that gives you some idea how you know how young I am, right? So what you call it, the idea of the flying elephant was very simple. I asked Stas, okay, for this particular program, what would you like to write for you? He said, flying elephants, okay, right? Okay, flying elephants. Well, it happens to be that we live in Wisconsin, where the what you call that, where in Baraboo there was the greatest what you call the circus in this country that lasted for almost 150 years, called Barnum and Bailey, which had
and the
greatest,
Ringling Brothers.
The what?
The Ringling Brothers.
That's right. That had many elephants, which are now retired in Florida, you know, and no other place, I think, in the world that was in a show situation, you know, such as what you call zoos or what you call that, or other show situations that had so many elephants, and they were very well treated because they knew, you know, that these elephants needed to work, and they did actually work. They were not just display elephants, you know. So the coincidence is so interesting, you know. But there are no circuses anymore with elephants, no. And I think the new generation is not that interested in elephants in general. And I think the idea of having animals as a part of a circus, thank God, it's out, you know. So the only elephants that remain are on accordion, right? And that's about it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And David, why don't you tell us a little bit about your piece and who you are, right? You're a student.
I'm a student of Yehuda's, student of a bunch of different people. Back in 2000, I came back to the Milwaukee area after a sojourn in central Illinois. And Yehuda introduced me to Stas. And eventually I wrote something for Stas. And actually, I've written several somethings for Stas since then. This particular piece is kind of an expansion on a unused sketch from the first piece that I wrote for Stas. And
Why is the German name? Why is the German name? You know?
Because it didn't sound all that interesting in English.
Oh, okay. So explain what it is, because, you know, not all of it German.
It translates roughly as ventilated duet for two piccolos.
Yeah.
Referencing the registers on the Bayan.
Mm-hmm.
You know what, David, why don't you tell us a little bit about the Bayan accordion?
Well, it's a variation on the whole accordion family. It's different from the accordions we're used to in this country because, first of all, it's got buttons on both sides, which is a fairly regular thing in some European traditions, but not so much in the US. But also, unlike most button accordions, it's fully chromatic. And moreover, it's what's termed free bass, in that the buttons for the left hand constitute a second keyboard, playing individual notes rather than playing chords like the American, kind of the American cliche of the accordion as this oompa instrument where you play chords with one hand and play a melody with the other. It's really two fully independent keyboards. So one can play full counterpoint with both hands, each playing a separate line.
Fabulous. Well, I think with that said, we should bring on Stas for some more music. Thank you, Yehuda and David, and we'll see you at the sort of big discussion around at the end. Beautiful. Welcome, John. How are you?
Hi, Robert. I'm well, thank you.
Fabulous.
Great to be here.
Yeah, it's good to have you. John, why don't you say your name, tell us a little bit about yourself and your piece that you wrote for Stas.
Okay, hi everyone. I'm John Kefala Kerr. I'm a composer, sound artist, and writer. My work's quite orientated towards making connections between music and everyday life, really. That's something that's interested me for quite a long time. So I look for opportunities to make that connection explicit, writing music for quite mundane spaces like sports centers, bus stations, various places like that, churches and so on, ordinary cultural spaces. For the past year, I've been an associate artist working at Antober and Mull Theatre on the Scottish island of Mull. And that residency has seen me trying to make connections between music and woven fabric, specifically the woven fabrics from the island itself. So it doesn't take a great stretch of the imagination to see how woven fabrics, the patterns and textures, can find a kind of a point of contact with music and sound. And so I've been exploring that idea in a number of different pieces, looking at some simple pieces of fabric. It's a little scrap here. And one of the things about fabric is that it's durable and it just hangs around forever. It just sits there innocuously. And I just thought that it would be interesting with the 15 minutes of fame slot to be able to make a modest scrap of musical fabric. So this is Bayan Weave number 1.
Hi, Rosita.
Hi.
How are you?
Hi, Robert. Great. Great to see you. And thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
Oh, it's a pleasure to have you. Rosita, why don't you just tell us your name and a little bit about yourself in this piece that's coming up?
Yes, of course. I'm a pianist and composer from Italy. As a pianist, I think it's very challenging, even just to imagine a composition in such a short time duration, because it pushes you to express and convey something in a very tiny space. So in the case of my work, I decided to use this idea of lack of time, basically, so short time available. And the reference is explicit in the title of the work, In a Minute. So we can say that my work tries to represent the frenzy in which we live nowadays, where we often have to struggle with deadlines, being late, and with time in general. I hope you enjoy and thank you again.
Hello, my name is Ryan Charles Raymer. I'm the composer of the next selection. I'm really excited to have this piece on the program, and I can't wait to hear Stas perform my work. This was written in a suite of pieces that went from the top of the instruments range all the way to the bottom, and it includes pieces for a lot of different instruments. So this one I feel like is really going to show off the full range and capabilities of the instrument. This particular piece was included in an opera that I wrote about food addiction called Taste of Addiction, and it gets its title from the scene that it's from, where the lead character, who's bedbound because she's so obese, falls in love with her pastor, her religious leader, but feels that she has to keep her love a secret from him. So this plaintive melody descends down into the lower regions of the instrument, similar to how the her mood descends down into where she has to keep her love a secret. So I hope that you enjoyed this piece and that you get this feeling, this emotional story that I was telling.
Beautiful. Hi, Cornelia.
Hi, Robert.
How are you?
I'm doing well, thanks. Nice to be here.
Thank you for joining us. It's great to have you. Cornelia, why don't you tell us your name and a little bit about yourself in this piece coming up?
Okay, my name is Cornelia Schmid and I'm from Switzerland. I'm living central Switzerland and we are running a farm here. So about me, I have a family with 4 children, actually all adults by now. And I play the accordion since quite a while, and I play the bass accordion now in an orchestra here in Switzerland. And next to all this, I have this accordion motion running where we invite Stas once in a while for touring Switzerland with concert tours and also having camps with Stas. That's it about. And so at the end of concert tour or at the end of camps when he has to go back home, we're driving to the airport, and that's actually what my piece is about. It's like in the beginning, the drive to the airport, still a little bit quiet. It's in F major. And then we get to the airport where it's always a rush when you have to check in. So this is part B. And then part C tells about the melancholic, you thinking back of just an amazing tour or camp which ended. And then it comes to part D, which is the end just before you say goodbye. That's about my piece.
Hello, I'm Anna Vriend. I'm a composer based in the UK. I have written music for a variety of instruments, woodwind, reeds, brass, strings, keyboards and voices, and several of my pieces have been performed on 15 Minutes of Fame. I'm studying composition with Alexander Kampkin. You are going to listen to my piece for Bayan accordion, Notte Stellata. I'm very happy that Stas Venglevski is going to perform my piece today. Again, I had never written anything before for Bayan accordion. However, I do like a challenge. I play reed organ. This is here behind me. When I realized that the Bayan accordion was very similar to a reed organ, it became much easier to make a piece. My reed organ has 5 octaves. It has left and right hand stops in various colors. It is, of course, a wind instrument, and I have to pedal to get air in the bellows. The Bayan accordion is in fact a portable reed organ, but it has many, many more stops and possibilities than my reed organ. Because it is a wind instrument, it is very expressive. Add to this Stas Venglevski as a virtuosic player, and you get something really nice. Notte Stellata, my piece, evokes the sensation felt when looking at a dark sky full of stars, somewhere in a rural area. It represents the peaceful, inspiring, and limitless nature of the universe. I'm very happy that Stas chose to perform my piece. So thank you very much, Stas, for playing my piece. And thank you, Robert, for organizing yet another fantastic opportunity. I hope you enjoy the piece. Thank you.
Hello. Hi there.
Hi, Willyn. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
And why don't you tell us also your name and a little bit about you and your piece?
Sure, yeah. My name's Willyn Whiting. I'm a Canadian composer. Currently, I'm in Winnipeg, Manitoba, but I just completed a degree in Denton, Texas. This piece that you're about to hear is one of many pieces that I've written that are sort of minimalistic textural pieces with lots of long-held tones. But I was very interested in the possibilities of the accordion, and I tried to conceptualize all 10 fingers as their own independent voices, and I hope that comes through. And yeah, I'm looking forward to hearing Stas's interpretation. So thank you.
Hello, I am Michalis Andronikou and I'm happy to connect with you with this video. Autumn Miniature 2 was composed spontaneously for Stas Venglevski and Vox Novas on a cold day in November in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. As I see it, the accordion is a symbol of folk music, which is interesting to me since my composition practice involves the integration of aspects of folk music into Western classical contemporary music. The piece was through composed almost as an improvisation. The compositional intent was to integrate some of the typical accordion gestures into a miniature piece that is not a typical accordion piece of music. Again, thank you for having me and best wishes to all of you and to Stas Venglevski on this event.
Woo! Excellent, Stas. Fabulous. Thank you all. What great pieces. They were just all really wonderful. Let me see if Stas is ready. We can just thank him. Hi, Stas.
Hello, everybody.
Hi, Stas.
Hi, Cornelia. I was not sure last piece was not introduced, whether I have to start or not. Yuriy.
You did great. Stas, great performance. Thank you so much. As a I'm kind of curious to know what the other composers think, but for 15 Minutes of Fame, it's a great way to introduce composers to musicians. I feel like this is a very intimate group. You have a lot of friends and students and teachers and close colleagues and so forth. But for me personally, it's just wonderful to hear all the pieces and hear everything that you can do on the bayan, and just like I feel like I want to go back and write another piece. Just so many different techniques and styles and interesting things with the instrument. I just want to write more. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Robert. I was a little skeptical when David Bohn first asked me a few years ago to do this 1 minute Fame. I don't know why, but all of 1 minute I've been playing all my life the Flight of the Bumblebee, and then after a while I was thinking about it and I agreed to do it, and I'm really happy I did, because that is something I always tell people that when I get new piece from any composers, for me it's like Christmas present. I always put my hand on that, I open it and I start learn it. And this is probably, as a musician, most interesting and appealing process to me when I work with composers. I work, like you mentioned, with Yehuda, with David Bohn here, and it just most rewarding time, to grow up as a musician. And I've got so much out of that, And now, 15 minutes, 30 compositions came in no time, and I was waiting for deadline when I get all music to choose, and they're all good. I have another set. We should talk about it when I have another 15 to do it for second. I feel a little bad that I omitted some wonderful composers, but I guess we can leave it for next session. So it just, thank you everybody who wrote for me piece and dedicated to me, and I really enjoy it, to doing that. And thanks, Robert.
It's my pleasure. Does anybody have a question for Stas or comment?
Well, a big thank that he played these pieces. Thank you, Stas.
This is a great question, Cornelia. Thank you.
It's not a question.
Yeah, and Cornelia, I loved your work, and just the whole description of it. It definitely it reminded me a lot of both, taking artists to the airport or being that artist that's, so hard to leave once you've made a performance somewhere and you've met all new people, and, anyway, it's sweet sorrow, right?
Yes.
Yes, Switzerland is a special country to me. I've been there so many times just because of Cornelia, and I made so many friends, and it's just second home for me now. And Cornelia, very good friend, special friend. So, thanks, Cornelia, for writing that piece.
Anybody else have a question for Stas?
I don't have a question. It's more of a comment, which is it's been such an interesting project, because I think David said it. There's this sort of bit of a cliche about the accordion that it is. I can't remember what you said. I think you called it an umpire instrument or something. But I think there is this horrible cliche about the instrument, and it is so much more than that. And I think you start getting into it and finding out more about it and the different timbres of it, and the great variety of expression, particularly in your hands, Stas. And I think it's so nice to be a part of something that's sort of, I suppose, sort of framing it in the right way, and as an amazing instrument, and trying to find those nuances of amazingness in it. And I think that for me is what was so interesting about this. It's just that re-education of what it is as an instrument.
I agree. Accordion has like some kind of advantage over all instruments in history of music.
As an amazing instrument, and try and find those nuances of amazingness in it.
Is this something like?
Oh, sorry.
About this, it's just.
We're hearing tape.
Gotcha. Sorry.
Yeah, I agree what you just said. Accordion, I think, has advantage over all instruments. It's breathes. It's like human voice. And it has, I think, more exploration to come. I mean, 20th century and this century brought accordion on such a high level. Like you said, you search online, and there's so many beautiful pieces written worldwide for symphony orchestra by greatest composers. And there's still lots to explore about accordion. And I cannot wait until 22nd century, when we're entrance, I'm going to see how accordion is going to develop.
I would like to echo what Matthew says about the accordion. I think, I don't play accordion, but I think it's probably my favorite instrument. I've had the opportunity to write for Gennady Rotary and for James Crabb, who's a Scottish exponent of the free-bass accordion. And I just wondered, Stas, whether there were any gaps from a performer's point of view in what you are given from in terms of repertoire, anything that the instrument excels at that you feel is in short supply from composers. Any particular technique, let's say, or yeah.
Well, in the earlier, when my take on that was I tell composers always think more like you write for organ, because it's like real instrument. But then I think I would go by sound, and I also encourage composers consult with a performer, because I work with Yehuda and David Bohn. It's best way to work directly, and just accordion sound, like you said, it's one of the best instruments. It's right there. You cannot miss it. Do whatever you do, and then it's very adjustable. This 15 minutes today, I selected all 30 pieces I submitted. They are so good. I just selected what best work for accordion, and all of you, I think, I almost didn't change anything, because it's other pieces there. Some needs to be adjustment, and actually Robert mentioned if we'll do some kind of workshop in the future how accordion work for composers. That would be nice, maybe workshop when I could explain and show details how it works. Maybe take these pieces which I didn't choose and just go over them and say that's how it works. Yeah, there's no recipe, It's you instrument more or less than we are. Maybe take a lesson or two, try to play it, and then it'll give you more idea. It's just that's what I think. Again, I could be wrong.
No, I think that's a great idea, and I even for me, I know a little bit about the accordion, but it was such a discovery process to learn about the Bayan and just like the different things you could do. And then, Stas, you're such a dynamic performer, and just there's no you're not scared about style or aesthetic or anything like that. It's just a joy to write for you.
Well, I tell you a little bit behind the scene about these 1 minute pieces. The most challenge, it's like you had one shot, and you have so little time to observe all these composers' ideas, and it's really challenge, I think, especially virtuoso pieces. You don't have time to warm up, or you just started and you finished. When you play Mozart sonata or Bach big pieces, you have enough time, and some make up stuff, exits, corners when you go through journey sonata or symphony. There's plenty of time. If you did something wrong, you always can make up and you get right and right. Here's I found in just 1 minute. That's it. In 1 minute, you have to get into it, explore like whole symphony because there's all form, they're all beautiful pieces, and it's kind of challenge, you know, but very enjoyable.
Awesome. Yeah, I think that's one of the things that's sort of what's the best way? Like a hidden challenge for 15 Minutes of Fame. I think most people, when they approach it and so forth, they don't realize, oh, it's 15 different composers with different aesthetics and different styles. And it's a challenge to weave them all together and be able to present each one of the pieces as a program. And, still, I mean, becomes a piece almost unto itself, or at least it's a concert program unto itself. So it's hard to sort of shift gears and be able to play everything, all the variety.
Like first piece I played by Matt, Cathedral. It has 4 movements, believe it or not, you know, and each has like half a page description. You know, it's amazing, amazing. I just love that piece. And other there's in 1 minute you can do a lot. Here's the proving. You know, we live in time when it's like short term. You know, every single 1 second, 1 minute, and this is good exercises for listeners and for musicians. You know.
Let's bring on Yehuda.
I just love that piece. And there's in 1 minute you can do a lot. Here's the proving. You know. We live in time when it's like short term.
Hold on 1 second, everyone.
1 second, 1 minute, and this is good exercises for listeners and for musicians. You know.
Let's bring on Yehuda.
I just love that piece.
Can I say something?
In 1 minute you can do a lot. Here's the proving.
Okay. Can I say something?
Hold on 1 second, everyone.
1 second, 1 minute, and this is good exercises for listeners and for musicians. You know.
Let's bring on Yehuda.
Yeah. Can I? Yeah. What? Yeah. Okay.
Hi, Yehuda. Do you have headphones?
Can I say something? Okay. So here you have a musician that could make literally a very nice living playing polka and what you call it, all these popular festivals, right? And he can do it while he's sleeping, you know. He doesn't even need to wake up for it, you know. And Stas says most of the time that to be a musician like this would mean death, you know. This would mean death for me. And you expect, I think, that all the performers don't just simply want to repeat the same thing over and again. Yes, they can make something much better in the second one, but that's not good enough. You know, you have to renew yourself like a composer who has to continue to write, because you don't know if you think that you already have written the best piece of music that you can write, then just as well, how to say, you can be gone, you know. And this is what keeps him and us, I think, as the composers in business, that we renew ourselves, that we get up in the morning and we don't know exactly what we're going to be doing.
Please try again later.
That's it.
That's awesome. I agree wholeheartedly, Yehuda. What do you think, Stas?
Yeah, it's tough life for music to be a musician, but rewarding.
Well, with that said, does anybody else want to? Yep, sorry, to say a comment or ask a question, or I pose those to the audience too. If anybody has a question or wants to make a comment, please feel free. We'd love to hear from you. But does anybody else have anything to say?
Yeah, it's not a question, but I wanted to say thank you again to Robert and of course to Stas for his performance. I think that the challenge that you have when you have to play 1 minute work is quite similar to the challenge that the composer has when he has to write a tiny piece. So it's quite interesting, and I wish that I can do more of this kind of projects in the future. So again, thank you.
Beautiful. Yeah, and we've got lots of more projects coming on the horizon. Right now there's a saxophone quartet that we're doing 15 Minutes of Fame for, and we've got some really, really interesting things. We've got a double bass for 15 Minutes of Fame that's coming up, and I think we've got clavichord, and there's going to be a lot more. So, stay tuned.
Beautiful. I will check it out.
Excellent. Fabulous, everyone. Again, I want to thank you all for being a part of 15 Minutes of Fame. Thank you so much, Stas. And yeah, stay tuned. We'll be talking about more. We should do a workshop and another 15 Minutes of Fame. Maybe I'll get you on one of my other projects, more, right?
Yep.
Thank you all again. Thank you for our engineer in the background extraordinaire. You put her on board. Thank you, Enro.
Thank you, guys.
Without
I
her
really
and
enjoy your show. Thank you.
Without her and all the other people, we wouldn't be able to make this happen. Wonderful, everybody. Please like and subscribe, and I look forward to seeing you on the next one.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye,
you.
everyone.
Yeah, thank you.